While Canadians are literally dying in emergency rooms across the country, Mark Carney just promised Ukraine another $2.5 billion of your tax money. My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host, Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. $2.5 billion, $2.5 billion, $2.5 billion. Wow.
Well, I mean, they need it, right? That's they haven't had enough. They haven't had enough. They need more.
Do you know the number? Do you know how much Canada has given Ukraine over the past 4 years?
But tell us. Yeah.
$24.5 billion. $24.5 billion is how much Canadians have given Ukraine in the past 4 years.
And I wonder how many doctors that would pay for, how many hospitals.
Well, this is the part that get very interesting, because I did some research, and we're always hearing rumors that Carney's getting picked. Like, everybody knows that they're getting a kickback somehow, right? We all know deep within ourselves. Well, yeah. I found a connection today that cannot be refuted by people, so I'll share what I found earlier. But I'm going to post about it tomorrow. It's absolutely insane. But here is quick video. I just want to infuriate people by seeing a video of Mark Carney and Mini Zelensky talking about how they need the money. It's absolutely insane that the people on the left are supporting this, because you can go to X right now and people are supporting us giving money to Ukraine.
Under President Zelensky's leadership, we have the conditions, the possibility of a just and lasting peace. But that requires a willing Russia. And the barbarism that we saw overnight, the attack on Kyiv, shows just how important it is that we stand with Ukraine during this difficult time, and that we create the conditions for this just and lasting peace and a true reconstruction. And I want to underscore something that has happened in recent weeks, is that the development of that possibility under your leadership, and also the prospect of true prosperity for the Ukrainian people. I'll just finish with one point on Canada. We've provided military assistance, further military assistance. We're announcing today further economic assistance for Ukraine, $2.5 billion worth of economic assistance that helps unlock financing from the IMF, from the World Bank, from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, to begin this process.
So Canada is using taxpayers' money to help Ukraine get World Bank financing, get IMF financing. Literally, Carney just admitted on camera that he is pushing his globalist agenda to have everybody hook on the World Bank and the IMF. And he's pushing that plan using you and I's taxpayers' money. That's the reality of things that's happening right now. But before we jump into it, I started digging earlier, because we're talking $24.5 billion over the past 4 years. Did you hear that Zelensky's government is under investigation for fraud and corruption as we speak right now?
I'm shocked. Shocked.
Yeah, exactly, right? No. So members of Zelensky's government and close associate face ongoing investigation for fraud and corruption as of December 2025. Primarily a major scandal involving an alleged $100 million kickback scheme at state-owned nuclear company Energoatom. Energoatom. The reason this is important is you've heard of Westinghouse, the company Westinghouse. It's been around forever. That's the part that most people don't know, is that it is owned in majority by Brookfield. And what did Brookfield Bro,
crazy.
I'm not kidding. No, but did you know that Westinghouse has a very strong and long-lasting business relationship with the state-owned nuclear company Energoatom, the same one that's under investigation for a kickback scheme? They've been in business with them since 2005 as they supply nuclear fuel for Ukraine's reactors. The best part is that there's a recent agreement that was just signed. There's a recent MOU that was just signed between Westinghouse and Ukraine for 9 AP1000 reactors. Do you know how much those go for? Just shits and giggles here. They go about 10 to 15 billion a pair. So that deal that they just signed is estimated at somewhere between 50 to 70 billion dollars. So since Carney's become prime minister since April, he's promised over 4.5. I think now that makes $7 billion that he's promised Ukraine in 10 months. He still owns shares in Brookfield, but obviously it's in a blind trust, so there's no way for him to know where his money really is, right? But there's a new agreement, a new MOU that was signed between Westinghouse, that is majorly owned by Brookfield, and new nuclear projects that they have on the horizon. And yet Canadians are not only paving the way for the IMF and the World Bank, but we're making sure that Brookfield is making billions and billions and billions of dollars. And this is not a conspiracy. You can find the information, just do a tiny bit of research, and everything I've told you is readily available. And there's more than that. It's just that there's still conspiracy theories, as in we haven't seen a contract. But from what I'm telling you right now, Westinghouse has a 20-year-old relationship with the Ukraine. Do you remember on December 3rd, we talked about this? Carney's government gave the Ukraine another $325 million. And Carney, in an interview, was saying that they would help the Ukraine rebuild their pipelines since they've been destroyed during this Russian war. That was around the same time as we were talking about the MOU for Alberta. I even made a post that went viral about this, like, oh, funny how Carney doesn't want Alberta to have pipelines, but he has no problems funding new pipelines in the Ukraine. Guess what? Westinghouse supplies fuel for their reactors, for their nuclear reactors. So you don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to see the dots here. Connect the dots.
You need to, like...
Yeah, I don't know if it's me or it's you, but there's a massive lag there.
You need to, like, how is it? Yeah, actually, I see it too. I'm not sure if it's me or you either. Are we good now? I think we're good.
Right now, you're good. Yep.
We're good now?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, okay, I guess it's me. We'll keep going. If it keeps sticking, I'll do a restart here. But I got to say, how is this in Canadians' interest, right? How does this benefit Canadians' interest to whatever your thoughts are on the war? How does it benefit Canada's interest to be giving another $2.5 billion? And then there's, of course, the whole corruption issue. It's just, we've got enough troubles at home. We should not be funding foreign wars. This used to be a left-wing position, a liberal position, not funding foreign wars, and now it is a right-wing position.
100%. It's absolutely insane that while 25% of Canadians are struggling to afford food, we're sending this type of money to the Ukraine. That's $24.5 billion in the past 4 years that we know of, that has been promised to the Ukraine, while we have people dying in the ER. Because that's a reality. We've spoken about this before. I went through all the numbers, and I'm going to share them again today because there's a story that we need to address. But even if I were to remove my conspiracy theorist hat for a second, as you said, how is this in the Canadians' best interest to be sending money to foreign countries when 1 out of 4 Canadians is struggling to afford food? Why is it our problem to help Ukraine?
Right. And thank God the story that you're talking about it was all over the news recently, I'm sure. Thank God it was an Indian who died, right? Because if it was just a native Canadian, we'd never hear about it. But of course the media is all over when it's immigrants. So good, thank goodness for that, because now we actually heard about it, right?
Well, remember we spoke about the story a few months ago about this Alberta kid. Same thing that happened. Like
Yep.
he didn't see a doctor in time. He ended up dying. We had 2 doctors on the show. I just can't remember what their names were. It's been a little while, but they were
That was a great chat.
Great episode. I'm gonna look it up to find them again, because they were great. I'd love to speak to them again. But all to say that we have a government that in the past 10 months has given something like $7 billion now to Ukraine, 24.5 in the past 4 years. And somehow that's just business as usual. People are defending that. Like, there's a lot of Canadians that are defending the position that we're taking with Ukraine. Like, forget the war, forget everything. Why are we sending our money overseas when when 1 out of 4 Canadian is struggling? You don't even need to look at the connection between Carney, Brookfield, Westinghouse with the state-owned nuclear company that runs all their nuclear plant that just signed an agreement for 9 more reactors that is estimated to be worth between $50 to $70 billion. You don't even need to go there. Just, why are we sending our money overseas when Canadians are struggling? When 1 out of 4 Canadians can afford food while we have people dying in the ER? What the fuck is happening, right? What will it take for Canadians to wake up about this? To just say enough. Enough.
Yeah. I mean, if it hasn't happened now, it's hard to see, what would it cause people to take notice.
All while Zelensky's government is under investigation for funneling over $100 million in a kickback scheme with the same company that has contracts with Westinghouse that is owned by Brookfield. Just saying. What the fuck is it going to take for people to wake up to this, to say this prime minister is corrupt beyond measure? Like, how do they not see the corruption here? He's giving money to a government that's under investigation for fraud and corruption.
And as you say, like, that's icing on the cake. But even let's say there wasn't an ounce of corruption. Why the fuck are we giving them $2.5 billion? Why? We've got enough problems here at home. We should not be funding foreign wars. That is not in Canada's interest.
No, my position on this is just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that it continues happening, and people on the left are just, that's okay. And I make sure to show you guys mainstream media videos, not because I need their media, just because I want people to see what the mainstream narrative is and what the actual reality is, how different they are. But there's so many people out there that are still watching the CBC and believing what they're saying, that it's like arguing with a cement wall.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess you want
to... here's a great comment from my 2 cents. He says, Carney has at least 7 different investments in the rebuilding of Ukraine. He's donating tax dollars to his own companies. That's correct. But that adds a whole new dark chapter to this, because if you know that your company is going to rebuild Ukraine, then it's in your interest to destroy as much of it as possible, because there's more to rebuild, right? More to rebuild, more money. So, hopefully, I'm putting on my own conspiracy theory hat here. I'm not even saying that's what that's the motivation, but it certainly adds a dark chapter to this, or dark angle to this.
But there were some reports that Brookfield was in negotiation with the reconstruction. There's a department of the Ukraine that is based for the reconstruction of the Ukraine. It only makes sense. And they've been in talk for a couple of years. I don't have any signed documents to prove. I don't have any proof of it yet, but this has been in the talks for years. I think I think I've seen posts from last year, the year before, that they were already in negotiation. Like they were, sitting at the table. I've signed some massive contracts in the past, and those contracts can take a year, 2 years, 3 years to put together, right? It's not like overnight, bang, here's a piece of paper, sign your initials, we're done. The negotiation can be very fucking long. But tell me that it's a coincidence that it's with Brookfield, that Brookfield is involved and we keep sending money to the Ukraine. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely fucking insane.
It is interesting how Brookfield keeps popping up everywhere.
Yep, 100%. And the connections are not hard to make. Yet he's still in power, and people don't seem to see a problem with what's going on. It's absolutely insane. And to continue what we were talking about over the weekend, well, not over the weekend, because technically we're still in the weekend. I think it was 2 days ago that the story broke about this Edmonton father died in ER after nearly 8-hour wait. So I want to play this video, but then I want to share some facts that I've researched quite a bit in the past. I just want to put them back out there because this is not new. What we're going to show here, this has been going on for a while.
Okay, now bringing the focus back here to Canada. The family of a 44-year-old man in Edmonton is demanding answers today after he died in an emergency waiting room area. He had gone to the hospital complaining of chest pain and collapsed after waiting for help for about 8 hours. CBC's Anissa Dara joins us now from Edmonton with more. Anissa, what can you tell us about what happened here?
Mark, as you mentioned, the man went to Edmonton's Grey Nuns Hospital. Now, this happened on Monday. I should point out, CBC News has not confirmed many of these details. What we've heard from the family in interviews with other media outlets is that the 44-year-old man went to the Grey Nuns Hospital. He was complaining of chest pains, allegedly. He was checked in for triage in the emergency department. And what the family has told other outlets, what is alleged, is that he did not actually receive treatment. And after 8 hours, he collapsed and he died while in the Grey Nuns Hospital waiting room. Now, CBC has reached out to the family. We're trying to confirm some of these details directly, but what we have been seeing both on social media and in interviews elsewhere is that the family is saying this is obviously unacceptable to them. They're expressing concerns about how healthcare is.
So you get the gist of the story, brutal story, but you get the gist. I'm not here to share the whole story because it's easy to find out there, but what I wanted to speak about is articles like this one. And it's bad when even the CBC reports on this. So this was the CBC, but here's an article that they released. This was released on last month. So November 21st last month. And just read the title. Roughly 500,000 Canadians left ERs before seeing a doctor last year, data shows. Between 5 and 15% of emergency department patients left without being seen in 2024. 5 to 15%. And this is CBC, so if they're reporting on this, there's a problem. But here are the numbers. Here are the real numbers that people don't talk about. There's a report by, let me bring that up because this is a post I made on Instagram a little while ago and people like pictures, so I will just bring that up. Oh, that's taking, I'm not sure why Instagram's taking that long to load. Whatever. Here are the numbers. So as per a report last year, it's estimated that between 8 and 15,000 Canadians die each year waiting in the emergency room. As per secondstreet.org in 2023-2024, 15,474 Canadians died waiting for surgeries or scans. And since 2018, over 76,000 28,000 Canadians died on some type of waiting list. Our free, our free air quote, healthcare costs Canadians over $381 billion a year, or about $9,500 per Canadian per capita. Children, parents, everybody, name it. So this, a man dying in the ER is nothing new. We're talking 8 to 15, and there are estimates out there that goes up to 28,000, depending. So I'm using the lower numbers here, but 8 to 15,000 Canadians die in the ER each year, and you can expect to see around 10 to 12,000 Canadians dying on waiting lists every year.
Which, if I recall correctly, last time we discussed this, that's more than in the entire United States. Not as a per capita, as an overall number. Which, you know, for all the,
it was close, but it was close. Let me stop you. It's something around.
Okay.
Last time I checked, it was around 12,000 Americans for some really good insurances, because you're talking about $1,000 a month, right? In insurance, which is more than what people can normally afford. But you're right. We're looking at 9,500, so 9,540 per capita in Canada. So for every single of the 41 million Canadians, but it was about $12,000 American, like $12,000 in the US to afford healthcare. And I don't know if you guys have ever been, if you're friends with Americans, but getting healthcare when you have insurance in the US, bro, you literally show up, you see a doctor pretty much right away, you get scans, you get fixed. My buddy's wife broke his arm because we were drinking, we're dancing, she broke her arm. Same night she had her an x-ray done. She saw a doctor, x-rays, cast was put on. I think she was still drunk. So just saying. That's how fast it went.
Yeah, it's it's wild, and just the sheer the sheer population size between America and United States. Those numbers should not be anywhere close. Like there's about the same amount of Americans that die in the ER as do Canadians, as an overall number, not as a percentage or anything. And that's crazy for all the heat that the American healthcare system gets. If we have almost as many or more people die in the ER than Americans do, 350 million versus 40 million, that's a very serious indictment of our healthcare system.
And that's the thing. Most people don't realize how much it costs us. It's literally $382 billion a year.
Yeah. It's like what, 9,000, give or take, 10,000 maybe?
9,500, and it's about 30% of income tax that the federal government takes from people. 30% of income tax goes to our healthcare system that is obviously broken. And you can tie that up, people like this one or not, but you tie that up to the fact that yesterday we recorded a full mashup on remigration, and that's another thing you can give power to.
How did that go anyways?
Why? It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. I think we had about 5,000 concurrent viewers, I would say, something along those lines.
Wow.
So it was, we got some good views. It's, I have to digest because I wasn't satisfied with the answers that I was provided. I pushed back a few times, but I didn't really get the answers I wanted to have. And it doesn't surprise me by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a shame because I agree with like 80-90% of the remigration, but there's certain, when you come to describe what a Canadian is, like as per the Dominion Society, my wife is not Canadian, yet she was born here because her father is an immigrant.
Really?
So
what's their definition? Oh yeah, I don't agree with that.
So basically, I was asking because my family on both sides, both my mom and my dad, we can track back 300 years or more on both sides. So I'm as Canadian as they can get, right? And by any standards of being a Canadian, I'm as Canadian as they get. So I was asking, I'm like, okay, so where is the limit? Like, what is a Canadian? And as per him, so my wife's mother is first generation Italian. So her mother's an immigrant. Her mother and her father are immigrants, but she was born here. So my mother-in-law was born here. My wife's father, on the other hand, immigrated here in his 20s, somewhere in his 20s. But he's 70 now. He's been here for 45-ish years, maybe a bit more. So because he's an immigrant, her mom is not. She's only half Canadian.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
My son is 3/4 Canadian because his mother is not full.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, but this is just the, I agree on let's deport the criminals. If you break the law here,
absolutely.
Like, all that common sense stuff. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All that common sense stuff that you and I talk about all the time, that's their main platform. That's what they talk about. That's what they want. So I would say 80 to 90% of what they said, I'm like, I agree on. But then when it starts to getting to who's Canadian and who's not, I'm like, okay, I agree that there's a lot of people here that are taking advantage of the system. Cut the funds, kick them out. We talk about this all the time.
Absolutely.
But to tell me that somebody that's worked here for 45 years, let's say, like, let's take my father-in-law's situation, is as Canadian as other people. He has an Italian accent, obviously, but he's as Canadians as other people are, as I see other Canadians. Is he less Canadians because he wasn't? It's an interesting.
I'm a supporter of legal immigration, right? If you came here legally, you went through the process. In my mind, you're Canadian, and almost every legal immigrant that I've ever met has been among the most patriotic people I've ever met, right? Because they went through the process, they know what it took, they respect it. It's the vast majority of the problem here is illegal immigration and fraudulent immigration in the form of fraudulent asylum claims, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, forget asylum seekers, forget temporary workers of any type, forget all the people that come here on a visitor visa and apply for an asylum seeker when they're here. Fuck that noise. Close all the loopholes. Close the childbirth. I don't care that your kid was born here. If you're on a trip here, your kid's born here, he ain't fucking Canadian. Fuck that noise. That kid's not Canadian. Go back to where the fuck you came from. We need to close all those loopholes. Like Bill C-3 that was just passed that gives access to people that are related to someone that's Canadian. They can become Canadian. No, abso-fucking-lutely not. That is not how it works. No. But if you really came here... Oh, no. But if you came here trying to make a better life for you, your family, you respect the culture here, you're not trying to turn Canada into the country you came from, we need to have a very, 100%. Very honest conversation as to what is Canadian, because to tell me that my son's not Canadian, I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, buddy. Cool story. Cool fucking story. Yeah. But at the same time, it's the point yesterday. I called them out on it. They never really addressed my question. They kind of brushed it off like it wasn't that important. Yet two people on the panel, Jason Levine is married to an immigrant, and he has kids that technically, as per their own definition, are not Canadians. Yet his wife's been here for 20 years. You know what I mean? So the two hosts of the show are in the same situation, and you're telling me my question's not relevant? Like, bro, that's what's a bit unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is because we are a country of immigrants. As much as I hate, but those are the positions that are going to be extremely hard to sell. So
Oh yeah, they're not gonna. You're not gonna sell that on any sort of middle of the road centrist, moderate righty. Any no one is gonna agree with that definition of. So were they saying that those people should be remigrated as well? Were they saying your son should be kicked out of the country? Was that the argument?
Well, no, that is not what they're saying. But they never answered my question, even though I asked it multiple times, is, so what does it matter if, let's say, and funny enough, the guy that runs Daniel Perry, the guy that runs the Dominion Society, is not even full Canadian by his own standard. He would be something like half, because his father's like half Jamaican, so he's 3/4 Canadian. So this I found to be quite ironic, and I told him that it was ironic. But what I'm saying is that they wouldn't address why it mattered. You know what I mean? Because nobody with common sense will disagree with the criminals, with the leeches, with the people that are not. If you're not making Canada better, get the fuck out of here. You can't stay. You don't have to go back home, but you can't stay here. That, I think, anybody with common sense, if you're not making Canada a better place, or you're trying to make it the country you came from, fuck off, go back. We don't give a fuck. We don't need people like you. If you're here to cause trouble, fuck off. We don't need you. I think that's pretty fucking common sense. But this is so common sense that I wanted to know the other parts of it, right? So what are your other views on why does it matter that let's say my wife is half Canadian? Does that mean she can't vote anymore? Does that mean that she doesn't have as many rights as other people, like as me, for example, because I'm full Canadian as per their standards? Does that mean my wife has less? They never addressed that. They never answered that question. They kind of brushed it off twice, and they didn't answer it. So right there, a bit of hypocrite. Like it's very hypocritical, because I always imagine if you're going to push an ideology like that I agree with 80 to 90%, I still need to understand what your other 10% is, because I couldn't back a society that will devalue someone just because of their standard, even though they've been here participating, doing. My wife has worked her whole life. She still works right now. She's always paid her taxes. She's, as Canadian, you wouldn't know that she was born here. Like, what the fuck else is she? Yeah. But as per their standards, she's Italian. As per their standards, she's Italian. She's not Canadian.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
No.
And very few people will agree with that as well. That's an extreme position. And if they're actually trying to push remigration as an actual policy, that 10% is going to hurt them pushing the 90% that common sense people agree with.
And that's the problem, because both guys are well spoken. They know what they're talking, like they know how to explain their point, but you could tell they were avoiding certain discussions. They were kind of brushing them off or making them sound like they're not important. But this is important. If you tell me what a Canadian is, and you're not, what is going to happen to people like my wife eventually? Because they're like, we're not going to deport. We're not going to break. One thing they kept on saying is that we're not going to break up families. Okay, but if my wife wasn't married, does that mean that she would have to be kicked off? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, they did not want to explain that part, which is unfortunate.
That sounds more like zealotry or dogma than any policy criticism. For me, it's about policy, right? Immigration policy right now is bad. We have a bad immigration policy, and we need to fix it. And it is fixable. I saw a comment here earlier, and forgive me if I'm wrong. I think it might have been
but you know what? Let's take some comments on this one, because I know yesterday we couldn't.
Yeah, okay.
But let's take a bunch of those, because I'm curious. Yep.
I'll try to find it here. Actually, no, it wasn't Trevor Benson. It was I'll find it. But basically, he was saying Canada used to have, up until 10 years ago, a responsible and reasonable and effective immigration system. Yeah, and that's true. It was the envy of the world. We brought in high quality immigrants who had skills that we needed, training that we needed. And we were importing doctors. We actually were importing engineers. Now we're importing Tim Hortons workers. there's a fundamental difference in our immigration policy. And this is, we need to be able to talk about it. And the left has made it so that you're racist if you disagree with immigration policy, but that's insane. That's a deflection. How can we arrive at the right policy if we cannot discuss it?
I couldn't agree more. That's why we had the conversation yesterday, although it doesn't mean that because I disagree with some of the things that they say, that we shouldn't have the conversation. On the contrary, that's why we wanted to have that conversation. Stu, thank you, sir, for the tip. Interest on our debt is greater than the annual healthcare expenditure. Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
That's wild.
Yep. That's
what that means is we're also paying another $9,500 a year in debt service.
Per people, you mean? We're paying more than 400 billion. I don't remember what the actual number is, but it's insane. It's absolutely insane how much money. Yep. And yet we keep on adding to it. We keep adding debt to that debt.
Yeah.
We keep on just making that debt bigger.
And the crazy thing too about that healthcare number is, remember we kind of sussed into it, is yes, it's 9,500 a year if you average over all Canadians, but not all Canadians are working, right? What is it, like 60% are working or 40, whatever the number is. It's only those people that are actually paying for it. Those people are paying the tax. So it's actually something like 15 or 16,000 of the people that are paying it.
Oh yeah.
And then the other ones just get it.
Here's a comment I want to address. Walking Campbell Cat is saying, I'm an Irishman living in Alberta. I'm not a Canadian. What does that mean? So what's your status in Canada?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Are you a permanent resident or awaiting just on a regular visa? Yeah, I'm curious as well.
But, and see, Stu, this is common sense. Stu saying in many other countries, if you're an immigrant and you're criminally charged, out of here. That is nonsense that this is not the situation we have in Canada. If you're here and you are a foreigner, you weren't born here, and you commit serious crimes like a rape, for example, a murder, a violent crime, get the fuck out of here. And I could argue if you're even if you're Canadian now, even if you have a citizenship of Canada, but you weren't born here, there's a place we can send you back to. I would argue that if you become a criminal, you should be sent back. You know what I mean? If you're breaking the law, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I don't care that you are a Canadian now. Fuck off. Bye-bye. Go back to where you came from. There needs to be consequences.
If you were not born here, your citizenship should always be conditional. If you commit a crime, a serious crime, like, if you get a speeding ticket or something minor, I know, obviously, let's be reasonable here, or you get in a fight at the bar or something, that's not what we're talking about. But a serious crime, a rape or a murder, you should be able to have your citizenship revoked and get the fuck out.
100%. 100%.
And we shouldn't, there should also be some sort of time limit before you can access social services. You should not be able to come here immediately and access healthcare when you did not pay for it. Maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 5, but it's got to be something where you have to have skin in the game. You remember that the episode that you're referring to with the doctors, one thing that stood out to me is, and it was funny because, these guys are still working as doctors, so they have to be careful with what they say. But he was saying in India, healthcare is a status symbol. It's a sign of wealth and upper middle class. So when you come here and it's free, it's just like giving free Lamborghinis or free Ferraris. People go and he's from their doctor. They've got a list of 9 things from their doctor back in India of what they should be asking for and things that they should be getting and treatments and stuff. And that applies a massive strain on our infrastructure.
Of course it does. Our system's already broken, and we keep adding people to it that have not participated that are not participating, yeah, why? No. Those people need to be
Yeah.
sent back. 100,000%. Those people need to be sent back. There's no way. I would say like at 5 to 10 years. You should prove that you're able to have insurance for 10 years, and after 10 years, you can start taking advantage of our social services.
Sure.
But before that, no thing of being able to bring your old parents with you and they get
How does
access
that
to
benefit
no,
to
no,
bring
no,
80-year-old
no,
people?
no, no,
I mean,
zero. Nope.
we all love our grandparents and all that, but people 70 and over are massive drains on healthcare. Now, if you grew up here and you've been paying into your whole life, I don't have a problem whatsoever. You've paid for that service. But to bring your 70-year-old grandfather from India who's not paying anything and is going to be a massive drain on that's not right. We can't do, and it's nothing to do with racism. It's a fucking a dollars and cents thing. It's just pure numbers. We cannot afford it.
Agreed, 100%. Walking Campbell is saying I'm Albertan. I get the reference now. He's not Canadian. He's Albertan.
Oh yes,
I get it. I understand the feeling. Yeah, it's to go back. It was an interesting conversation. I think we lost the subject a few times because there was kind of internet drama between the people that were on the panel. Like they've all known of each other for a long time, and they have spoken against each other or something. So we had some drama. Yeah, it was a weird yeah, I guess so. I guess you'd say that. It was a weird conversation, but I kind of got enough information from the Dominion Society to understand what they stand for and see where we're in disagreement. Which I think at least I got that, even though I didn't get all the information I wanted to have, I still got some. So it was still worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, it was, see, Wilf is saying I was very disappointed.
In what, like specifically, Wilf? What were you hoping for?
Because Trevor seems to be saying the same thing exactly. The conversation could not happen. It was just, sometimes
people were bringing their baggage. People were bringing their baggage onto the show.
No, but it's not just that. I wanted a more deep conversation, but sometimes, yeah, like Trevor's saying, the conversation wouldn't stop going off topic, and it was just weird. Yeah. See. Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know that it was. I think this is a conversation we should have on the show where there's less people. I think maybe that's the problem. There were just too many people at the same time, and the conversation's all over the place. So I'd like to have that conversation with Daniel Tyree, sorry, just you and I and him, and ask him questions, and then go for half an hour, call it a day. There's there's not 6 other people talking. Like there's not 6 people trying to have their opinions heard, and because it went off topic many times.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm very interested in the topic, and I suspect the word remigration means different things to different people, and I'd really like to drill down into what that people mean, because there are definitely some versions of remigration that I absolutely agree with. I've also heard ones that I don't, like anyone who's just was not born here is gone, right? I don't agree with that. That's not that means a naturalized citizen who's been here for 20 years but was not born here but came here legally, they should be kicked out. And no, Trevor says it doesn't mean kick everyone out. No, I understand that. Like I said, there's different versions of it. There are some people whose that is their version of remigration. I think they are the minority. I don't think that's any type of mainstream opinion. But it can also be as mild as people who just think, illegals should be kicked out. If you're here illegally, you should be kicked out. I agree with that. I mean, even if you haven't committed another crime, the fact that you're here illegally is a crime. And, I fully support that version of remigration.
Yep, same here. I completely agree. I know Trevor was there yesterday. He's saying that's dumb to think it's about kicking everybody out, or everyone out. But I understand that that's not what the goal is, Trevor. And maybe you know their platform more. But I gave them two solid real life situation, which one of them is mine, and they didn't really answer the question outside of we're not here to break family up. We wouldn't kick them out, but they did say that my wife is not Canadian, that my wife is Italian. But what does that mean exactly? What does that mean in the long run? Does that mean that if they have enough power, they're going to kick those people out, or they're going to be sub-Canadians? Like, we're going to have different versions of Canada?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, of Canadians, this is the part that they never really answered. And, you know, I'll try to get Daniel, one of the founders and the chairman of the organization, to come back and maybe address those points. Like, I'll make it clear to him that those are the points I really want to talk about, and we'll see it from there. See, Trevor, that I disagree. Nico, we also didn't give them a chance to explain it. I gave them the chance 2 or 3 different times, and they just brushed it off and talked about something else. So they did have the chance to do it, and I challenged them once. They didn't answer. I asked the question again. They didn't answer. I'm done. Like, this was not I wouldn't let them get away with this on this show. But because we're 6, it's a mashup. I don't want to turn it between me and somebody else for 2 hours. But on this show, I think it would be a better platform for him to come back and actually have that conversation here, because I would challenge him, and I wouldn't let him not answer the question. I would challenge him.
Trevor, what give us a quick summary of what their position is, if you can. But to me, it doesn't need to be that complicated, right? Kick out people who commit crimes, kick them out. Stop, cut off any sort of social welfare pipeline to newcomers, and tighten up asylum claims. There should be a magistrate or a entry level. They should do triage or something, like an entry level court that looks at it, because I'd say 90% of asylum claims can probably be dismissed immediately. Right? Where are you from? India? Dismissed. Bangladesh? Dismissed. There's nothing going on in India or Bangladesh that would substantiate any type of asylum claim. There's probably a handful of countries in the world where you could even make a potentially legitimate asylum claim. And so if you're not from one of those, that doesn't even mean you get it. It just means we'll actually look at it if you're from one of those countries. If you're not from one, we're not even going to bother looking. Because what's happening is many of these claims are getting denied. What is there, 300,000 people on the waiting list or something? And many of them
the latest
denied, but
500 is the latest number that I saw. 500,000 outstanding asylum claims right now,
and they're waiting 2 years at least to get it.
2 to 3,
and even 2 to 3, 2 to 3 years. So even if they get denied, they've been here for 2 to 3 years at a cost of 80,000 per. That's costing us a fuck ton of money, and it's it doesn't need to be that way. Most of those can just be denied immediately.
Yeah, it's kind of to prove a point here. I just opened my X to go to Grok, and the first post that's on is one of the guys that was on the show yesterday, Greg Wycliffe, and for some reason, Jeff Evely brought in the Jew portion of this. Like, there was a lot of comments, like in the comment section, that was calling people Zionist and blaming the Jews for stuff. And at one point, Jeff Evely, like, are you denying the Holocaust? And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking? Like, what? So that's, the conversation needs to happen, I think, on a smaller scale, because it's too, I don't know if it's too emotional. Trevor, you were there yesterday. What do you think? I think that personally, thinking back, because I was thinking about it today, like what went wrong, because even as it was happening, I was like, when because
if it got to Holocaust denial, it went off topic for sure.
You think? You think that it went off topic? It was just, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to see some of the comments, because there was something else I wanted to talk about, but we can talk about it tomorrow. I want to see, because I think this is a big deal. I think this whole remigration thing is a big thing. This is coming. We're going to have to address it.
Yeah.
If you have somewhat common sense, we have to figure out our immigration system. And, we can go down the pipeline of the WHO and the WEF, and this is all planned through the West to take over. And I agree that it is. I 100% agree that it is. We can still have the conversation about remigration to fix our immigration problem, because the only reason we're talking about this is because of mass immigration. That's what the problem is. Over the past 10 years, we just been swamped by Indians, and call a spade a spade. Sorry for the Indians out there, but that is a reality, that we've been swamped by Indians and Middle Eastern, and their values don't align with ours. That's, at the end of the day, this is the problem. If you're here and your values don't agree with ours, you shouldn't be here. You just shouldn't. Why are you here? You're either taking advantage of a system, or you're just here to change a country into something else that it's not. Why? Why should we have you here? It's really simple.
I mean, like it is simple, right? At the end of the day, immigration has to benefit the host country. It has to, or else why the fuck would we do it? It's not a charity. It's not something we have no control over. And done right, it should benefit both parties. It should benefit the migrants that are coming here legally, and it should also benefit Canada. They should benefit Canada because we should be bringing in high quality, skilled, trained immigrants, young families, and it benefits them because they get an opportunity for new life in a better country, or a country where there's more opportunity. Both sides have responsibilities, right? It is the host nation's responsibility to make the newcomers that come here legally feel welcomed, give them the same opportunities that all the other Canadians have, not to discriminate against them in law and policy. And that's the host country's responsibility. It is the responsibility of the migrants to obey respect the cultures and traditions of the host country. Do not try to change the host country into the one that you came from. Do not bring your 3,000-year-old tribal beefs over here. Do not try to, input Sharia law or whatever you think. Try your best to assimilate, to be a Canadian. You can also bring your culture with you. Bring your food, bring your clothes, bring your holidays, your religion, whatever. You can do whatever, as long as you do not try to impose it on the host country. This is responsible immigration, but that's not what we have right now.
But we need to have the conversation also with religions, if they do align with Western values. And I will always say it, Muslim values do not align with Western values.
I agree with that.
So as much as we want people with different religions, I'm not too sure that I agree, because if your religions don't align with Western values, I'm not interested in your religion. I really am not. I don't want you here either. And there's plenty other countries that you can go to that they're under the same religion as you. So why not go there? Right? This is the problem. We came, I saw an article over the weekend saying that Canada is no longer the #1 destination for Indian immigrants, that it's becoming another country. We're losing that kind of title of second India, which is not a bad thing if you ask me, but that means it's really fucked. If even Indians don't want to come here anymore, is it? That's
I've heard Indians say they don't like it because there's too many Indians. You know what I mean? They're like, this is I left to escape this shit. But literally. It's that's fine. But yeah, no, it's it's we do have to have this conversation. And the thing is, I agree that remigration is a big scary word. It isn't actually, but it's being weaponized and used against it. But the fact of the matter is, we're only in this position because of the mass immigration policies that have been input all over the West, all at the same time, with nobody's buy-in. There was no public buy-in. There was no one ran an election on this. No one was asked. They just did it. And you can't then say, oh no, well, we don't like the way you're going to fix this problem that we created. Look, you guys created the problem. Unfortunately, the problem is such that there is no way to fix it in a way that is gonna, it's gonna be distasteful at times, right? That's the only way you can fix it. But we wouldn't even be in this position where we have to do distasteful things if they didn't open up the floodgates in the last 10 years.
And this is why those conversations are needed. They just are needed. They're going to be uncomfortable. People are not going to like to have them, but we need to have them. Those are saying, hey, all. Every time I say that, hey, y'all, I spend way too much time down south. Hey, y'all, great panel the other day. Tyann, on the other hand, was very belligerent.
Oh yeah,
emotional. Yeah, I think she was a bit drunk too. Oh, no, but yesterday that was, oh Jesus, she was off the fucking hinges yesterday. And to her defense, I understand what she meant, because her point is that we're arguing about remigration when what we really need to be focused on is the loss of our free speech, digital IDs, and international, how do you call them? Fuck, my brain is not working. BDBCs, the
LLMs,
the
AI.
No, the equivalent of the new type of banks that even Canada and the US are trying to implement. They're all crypto based. They're technically all crypto based, but no, CBDCs, I think they're called CBDCs. But either way, she was pointing out what the real central that's what it is. I wanted to make sure it's CBDCs, central bank digital currency. So they're trying to push them all over the place. So they want to use it's almost like crypto, but it's not quite like crypto, but it is a digital version of the country's currency. But all to say that she was pointing out the major problems that I talk about all the time when trying to kind of downplay the remigration aspect, saying that, because she's a foreigner, right? I know. Yeah, but she's a foreigner too, right? She wasn't born in Canada. So it was all emotionally, it was
it's an emotional topic.
It's a touchy subject, like Trevor says.
It's got to happen, and the conversation has to happen. It can be had respectfully, but it does have to happen.
Yeah, I just don't think that it was a panel. I think there are some conversations that are not meant for a massive panel. Like, it's harder to have those conversations when there's too many people. So, I didn't, for once, I was not really providing my opinion. Like, it wasn't really about me phrasing what I thought about this. It was mainly, I was trying to get more information out of the Dominion Society guys and allow others to kind of flow and give their opinions on it and challenge them to, or agree, disagree, whatever. But yeah, it's, I'm going to think about how to redo this one, because I really want to address those harder questions.
It sounds like it was a shit show. But
yeah, it wasn't, right? I think a good hour of the show was good, but the other one was like, I don't even want to rewatch it. I'll be honest, I don't want to rewatch it. I just don't want to. I don't think I want to.
I'm gonna have to check it out. But I would like to have that conversation here. If you could bring maybe just one guy, and we could just an information session, really.
I'm gonna reach out to Daniel Tyree, I think is his name. I'm reaching out to him. I'm gonna try to get his information right now. One of the co-founders follows me. Like, we followed each other. We've recorded content together before. So, worst case, I'll reach out to him for him to give me his information. But you'll see, he's a well-spoken guy, and he used to be part of the PPC. So he used to be one of the behind the scene guys. So he's very well spoken. He's very politician. You'll see. He's
he?
very,
He's
very. Oh yeah.
polished?
He very well. He's polished. He's well spoken. He's very good at politicking. I'll say it that way.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gonna make
I
for
know
a
the
great
type.
politician. Yeah.
Nice. Before we wrap up, did you want to do the plug?
Yeah. Yes, we will plug our sponsor, and as always, most of the time, at least right now, our sponsor is Gabble, the world's first live video debate app on the market. You can choose to sit back and watch, or you can do like me and debate others. It's a great thing. You guys should try it if you've never debated people politely, because they are very good on politeness. Like, I've disagreed with a lot of people. It's never been disrespectful, which to me is important. If you start screaming at me and calling me names, I'm not debating. Like, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'll just check out and I won't come back. Like, I have no interest in screaming match with people. I don't do that in real life, so I'm not going to do that online either. But yeah, it's all about Discourse. So if you want to check it out, you can download the app on your phone. Just check the description below. Our affiliate link is there, and every time when you download the link, it helps us. So try it out. I highly suggest it. We had our first bigger debate last week where it was me and somebody else, a massive leftist, and it was good. We both talked afterwards. We're like, we have to do this again. It was great. So
Nice.
very
Nice.
cool
Well,
stuff.
that's
Yep.
kind of what this show is all about. Take this comment here just before we close. I think it's a good one. Trevor says we'll never agree on 100% of anything, and that's fine. Doesn't mean we can't come to an agreement. That is correct, right? I mean, that's how the sausage is supposed to get made in a democracy. We're supposed to be able to talk about have discussions on topics, good faith discussions, sometimes uncomfortable discussions. And eventually, if people act in good faith and everyone has some common sense and they're not an ideological zealot, usually you can arrive at some sort of common sense agreement that pleases most people.
Here's
frankly what
I'll
the show
take
is.
this 100%. I'll take just this last one because I kind of agree with that. Dosos is saying, I love the intellectual philosophical battle between Jeff and Daniel, and that was at the end. It's like the last 30 minutes. And it was hilarious because I think Jeff underestimated Daniel, and I agree. Like, there was something off. I had a conversation with Jason after the show, and I'm like, something was off with Jeff yesterday. It was just weird. The whole vibe of the show was weird.
Fight?
No, I don't know. I would have to rewatch it because, when you're part of it, it's not the same as you're just sitting back and listening to what people are saying. And I don't know, the whole vibe was weird. Sometimes you record and it's just something's off. I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on what was off, but the whole vibe was off. Even before we started recording, I don't know. It was just off. It was just weird. But I agree. Jeff, because Jeff is a very researched guy, and he started going down his path. They started arguing about individualism and what's the term that they used? Shit, I got some notes. I just can't remember, but they started arguing about two different philosophy, and Jeff went into his normal regular spiel of quoting a lot of books and providing his opinion, and Daniel just didn't back down. Like, he was just like, I agree. I don't think that Jeff, I don't know if he underestimated him or didn't expect Daniel to push back. As much as I disagreed with Daniel on his perspective, I was texting Jason. I'm like, bro, let it go. Even if it's off topic, just let it go. Just let it go. I love those philosophical debates. I'm just go. Just let it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna check this out. That sounds like a pretty interesting episode.
Well, yeah, you definitely you'll enjoy it. Smoke a joint, have a drink, and you'll probably there's some parts that you're gonna be motherfuckers. Yeah. Collectivism. Yeah, that's right, Caesar. That's exactly it. They were arguing individualism versus collectivism. And they were proning collectivism, like the which at one point Daniel called Jeff a leftist. a lefty, and then Jeff called Daniel a lefty. It was the weirdest thing. But yeah, no, that's why I say I disagreed with I disagree with Daniel's take on collectivism, because this what leads to socialism and communism. And there is a way to be an individual, of course, but there's a way to be an individual as part of a group, right? Because they were making the argument that you have to organize in order, like they were using they used the analogy of the Freedom Convoy, as in this was collectivism because people organized together in order. No, because the main basis of the freedom fighters was to have individual rights, is that for us to have bodily autonomy. So this is not collectivism, it's individual rights, as in I want to be able to have a choice to say yes or no to a vaccine and not it costing me my livelihood or my freedoms. That's what the convoy, the essence of it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we say here often is before you debate someone, you have to agree on the definitions of what you're debating. I mean, it sounds like,
yes,
like that's a very, very broad definition of collectivism. To just say politically organizing, that is not collectivism. I would say most people consider collectivism something like, appropriation of property, taking land from the elites and giving it to the working class or the proletariat or what have you, taking it from the bourgeoisie and giving it to the proles.
Yeah, I agree. Bullshit detectors say
in-group preferences.
Yeah, but he used the word collectivism. That was the word that they used. Yeah. So if you're going to use a word like collectivism, I'm going to disagree with you every single time, because it is socialism. It's Marxism. Is it? I believe in the rights of the individual, not the rights of the many. I don't believe in the many. I believe in the rights of the individual. I want the people to make choices, to take decisions. Obviously, it's going to affect the whole. But I want a whole is just a bunch of individuals that decide to live under the same laws, they agree to live under the same policies, to say this is how we're going to live our life. Yes, okay, let's band together. But I don't want socialism. Yeah. I don't want a few making decisions for the many. As a group, what's better for the group?
Yeah, like to me, when I hear collectivism, I think of an ideology where the greater good for the group is built into law and policy. Yep. So you can take that man's rights away if it's determined that it benefits the group. And yeah, I don't agree with that. And that's, of course, the foundation of communism and Marxism.
But at the same time, it was great to see them disagree, and they both called each other leftists, which I thought that was funny.
Just a bunch of lefties on the
show. Bunch of considered conservative, of people that would consider themselves conservatives being called lefties.
Calling each other lefties.
It was just
too funny.
It was it was just funny. But at the same time, there's a good reason why the first question I asked yesterday is to define what remigration is. Because we need to start at an understanding. We need to have a proper definition of everybody says, this is what it means to me. Then you can have the conversation. They did not ask each other what they believe collectivism and individual rights were, like individualism was. But either way, it was just all over the place conversation. Let's just end on that.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a good show. I'm going to check it out for sure. All right, guys, we are going to pin it there. Went a few minutes late, but it's just one of those shows. Lots of interesting discussions. A good start to the week. We will get back at you tomorrow, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, as always. If you are just tuning in and you want to support the show, please consider becoming a member. You can do that through YouTube for the low price of $2.99 per month. You can also buy us a coffee in your upper right-hand corner. That will also help us to continue bringing this high-quality content. Other than that, folks, have a great rest of your evening, and we will catch you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Peace.